Okay, so referrals must be generated proactively, and that is done by having a system. So you're going out and you're fetching the referrals. And the big question then is, how do we do that? Okay. The good news, I've got good news and bad news for you about referral systems. Systems ensure consistency. And this is what I was saying to you earlier that most agents do not have. They have feast or famine. They close a deal or maybe two deals. They're on the top of the mountain. The next morning they wake up and they realize they've got nothing in the pipeline because they haven't been generating leads. And then they go through 3-month slump, a 4-month slump, a 6-month slump. And then they're like desperately trying to get more leads now because they have to get busy. They get more leads and then they manage to put a deal on the table and then they close that deal. And that takes another 3 months for that deal to close. And then they close the deal, wake up the next morning and they've got nothing in the pipeline because they haven't been generating leads. The way to overcome the inconsistency that most agents struggle with is by having a lead generating system running in your business. So systems ensure consistency. That's what you want. That's the good news. The bad news is systems require discipline. Systems require discipline. I can tell you how to lose weight and get a six-pack. Okay? I know how to do that. I don't actually care whether I have a six-pack. But if I did care, like if it was something that was really important to me, as it was, I guess, in my younger years, I wanted to like have a really good bod. Did I ever have a six-pack? I probably back when I was at school is the last time that my six-pack wasn't covered by some what one man called the pup suck. So we know how to have a six-pack and we know how to lose weight, but why don't we have a six-pack and why haven't we lost weight? For those of you who are chiseled physique of a man like Ferdy Abrahams, Ferdy, the envy of men, Ferdy. Pick another discipline that requires consistency. Getting fit or getting good at a certain sport or getting good at chess or whatever it is, or improving your golf game. You want to become a scratch handicap. It's like this in any area of life. It requires discipline, 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 discipline. You want to learn how to play a musical instrument. You want to learn how to sing well. Yes, there's certain gifts that some of us have and others don't, but you don't become a great guitarist without hours and hours and hours, thousands of hours of practice, 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 practice. You want to get good at lead generating as a real estate agent, you are going to have to find a way to do the activities every single day. We can tell you what to do. Whether you will go and do them every day, every day, every day, week after week, week after week, month after month, month after month, that's up to you. Do you have discipline? This is why motivation is so important. You say, "Oh, Stephen, but I come to the family time meeting, I get super motivated, and I want to get home, and then I make some phone calls for the day, but the motivation doesn't last." So, I don't believe in all this motivational speaking and motivational talks and motivating meetings because it doesn't last. Yeah, okay, fair enough. But as Zig Ziglar famously said, neither does washing. Soap doesn't last either, but that doesn't mean you have a shower every day. You've got to continually get yourself up, continually get yourself motivated. And that's why you need to continually attend meetings like this and whatever's available. That's why when you're in your car, you don't listen to the radio. I can tell you now, guys, you're not going to hear anything on the radio that's going to motivate you. You need to be listening to good podcasts. You need to find a podcast that is uplifting, that is motivational, that is consistent with your worldview. And you need to, when you get in the car, that's what you do. You listen to Brian Buffini's podcast called It's a Good Life, or you find one that's what I listen to. It's a Good Life by Brian Buffini. There's hundreds of episodes. I'm just listening to them one by one, and he interviews all sorts of famous people, and they've got incredible stories, and it's uplifting. That's why when you get into bed at night, you've got a choice. You can either open up your laptop and watch a series, Or you can open a good book and read it. You need to open a good book and read it. As you get one life, and life is short, you need to invest in yourself. Now, part of that is going to become the person who you need to be in order to have success. Okay, that's a little bit of a ramble, but I'm telling you, it is an important message. Success in life requires discipline. Do you have it? Well, you need to work on it. I believe every person in the room today can do that. All right, 3 secrets. 3 secrets. You want to crush it you want to be a karate black belt as a real estate agent. Here are 3 secrets I want you to know today. Number 1, you can generate a steady stream of referrals proactively if you can just build the right database of 100 to 300 advocates and then maintain the correct contact with them. That's one of the little secrets. You need 100 to 300 people in your life that you are proactively building relationships with. These are people we're going to call your advocates. And then you just need to maintain the correct contact with them. If you do that, you can work 100% by referral. Secret number 2, once you've got this group of advocates, you've built up what we call your database. There is a research-proven keep in touch plan, a communication plan that combines multiple touch types in a proven sequence that will lead to their referring new clients to you consistently. Okay, there is a proven communication plan. We know it works. It's got multiple touch types in a proven sequence. We know you've got to, for example, make a phone call every 6 weeks. Every second phone call, every 12 weeks, you've got to write a handwritten note to them. Those are just 2 examples of the sequencing of contact. It's not complicated. I'm going to teach you what that sequence is as we build the system over the coming weeks. But you need to know, as we go into this, this is not guesswork. We know it works, but it requires discipline. If you're going to be doing that with 300 people, for example, on just the phone call piece, you're going to be making probably 10 to 12 phone calls per day to advocates. Now you can say, okay, but that's fine. I can make 10 to 12 phone calls. I'm going to set aside 2 or 3 hours every morning for my lead generation time, which is what you do need to do. And 10 to 12 phone calls is no problem. Okay, fine. You got to do that today. You got to do it tomorrow. You got to do it on Wednesday. You've got to do it on Thursday. You've got to do it on Friday. You got to do it next week. You got to do it the following week. You got to do it the following week. You got to do it the next month. You got to do it the next month. You got to do it July, August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May, June, July. You get the picture. That's why a lot of people are not going to enjoy the success that this thing can give you. But if you are willing to get disciplined and you do what I'm going to teach you for 2 years, you do it for 2 years, you will be a millionaire. You come back to me after 2 years of discipline. Look, I've done this long enough. We've done this with enough people. I absolutely know I'm telling you the truth. You do this thing, it will work. But it's hard to do. Not because it's the tasks are difficult, but because the consistency is difficult. Okay, secret number 3. While having personal contact with advocates, like the phone calls, for example, you have to find a way of asking for referrals consistently without being a pain in the neck. And I am going to teach you how to do that. This is just one of the little secrets here is you can build up a database of a couple of 100 advocates. You can be having all the right contact and sending the notes and the value items and the newsletters and all the things can be going. But when you have contact with these people, if you don't ask for referrals, you won't get the referrals, or you will get a much smaller percentage of the referrals that you would have got. You have to ask for referrals, and you have to ask consistently. But you have to do that in a way that's not awkward and cringy and makes you a pain in the backside. I'm going to teach you how to do that. All right, critical mass. What is critical mass? Critical mass was formerly a marketing term used of products where their marketing was so powerful, the certain product, that their brand became synonymous with the whole industry. So that people from now on, they didn't talk about the generic name of this product anymore. They just used that brand name. Can somebody give me an example of that in the chat? Give me an example of a company that achieved critical mass with their product. Okay, Hoover. So Brian's got Hoover correct. I don't think that works anymore. That's kind of our generation, Brian, maybe 20, 30 years ago. But you didn't even call, what's a Hoover? A Hoover's a vacuum cleaner. People didn't call vacuum cleaners, they just called them Hoovers. But Hoover was just one brand of vacuum cleaner. Creepy Crawly is another one. Well done, our leader, our latest capping agent. So in South Africa, I don't even know what a Creepy Crawly, what's the generic name of the product? Probably like a pool cleaner. I don't know. Well, we just call it a Creepy Crawly. Kleenex is another one for tissues. Xerox. Whoa, you're dating yourself there, Lynette. But Xerox used to be, to make a photocopy, you would just Xerox something. In our day, I see a number of you have said, you don't do an internet search for something. What do? You just Google it. Yeah, so Leandre van Rooyen says you just Google it. This is critical mass. Now, why is it important to our discussion? Because in order for you to get the referrals from this group of 300 advocates, you need to build critical mass in the minds of those 300 people, that when they hear the word property, house, home, buy, sell, real estate, when they hear anything real estate related, the first thing that comes to their mind involuntarily is they think of Steve Johnston, because I've got critical mass in their minds. And this is what the dialogue, I'm going to teach you a dialogue that you are going to repeat over and over and over again, word for word, to your advocates when you have your personal contact with them, that when you repeat this dialogue multiple times, they begin to recognize the dialogue. It's like, it's almost counterintuitive. You know, you might think when I'm using a dialogue, I don't want the person knowing I'm using a dialogue, but in this case, you do want them recognizing the language, because it's the repetition that creates the critical mass. Okay, how do you do that? Well, we're going to teach how to do it using a certain dialogue. I want to now show you what the potential is, because if you don't believe that you can be a millionaire just by working by referral, just by building relationships with 300 people, I'm going to show you now the maths, and it'll stagger you how much money you can make with just, I'm actually going to do it with just 100 people, just to show you the maths. So what if you build critical mass with 100 people? Well, here's the potential. The average person knows, now how many people does the average person know that they could influence in a conversation at some point? Well, a Gallup poll, if you've heard of the Gallup organization, they do statistical surveys and studies. They did this massive poll in which they revealed the average person has some level of influence through conversation over 285 people. 285 people. Okay, so if you then build critical mass with just 100 advocates, that's the smallest we want your database to be, as 100. We'd like to get it up to 300, but let's go with 100. With just 100 advocates, that means that you get access to, by first generation referral, through those 100, you get access to, they each know 285 people, 28,500 people by first generation referral that you have potential access to now, okay? If the average person moves, I've heard the average person moves every 3 years, I've heard every 5 years, I've heard every 7 years. I don't know what you've heard, maybe you can put it in the chat roll. How often does the average person move in your area? Maybe you know the statistic. Tell us what the number is. I'm just going to make the maths easy, and we're going to keep it conservative. So it's 7 years. Brian says it's 9 years on the West Coast. So I'm just going to go with 10 years. If the average person moves every 10 years, and there's 28,500 people that you've got potential first-generation referral. This is not even like new clients then referring you to more clients, which does happen. That means that you can be referred to 2,850 transactions per year through 100 people. Okay, so now here's my question to you. How many of those 2,850 transactions do you need to make you happy? Put a number in the chat roll. How many deals per year would you like to do? Monica would like to do 100 a year. Johan, 36 a year. Okay, Christine, you want to do all 2,850. Good for you, girl. Okay, so guys, even if it's, I mean, if Brian says 10%, what do you make on your, just do a little calculation for yourself. What do you make on your average deal? Just, if you've got a piece of paper next to you, just write down, you don't have to put it in the chat, just for yourself. What do you make on your average transaction? Let's say the average home in your area sells for 2.5 million rand and you're going to charge 5%. 5% of 2.5 million is 125,000 rand. So let's say you make 100,000 rand on the average deal. If you did just 10% of the deals that you can be referred to with 100 advocates, that's 28 deals. 28 deals at 100,000 rand is 2.8 million rands worth of income. You just get 10% of the referrals you could get. You'll make 2.8 million rand a year. Guys, I hope that illustrates the point for you. This is what working by referral can do. You look at this. You haven't made one cold call. You haven't posted anything on Facebook. You haven't shot one video. This is just building, old school. Old school. You're just building relationships with people. And you're using some well-placed dialogues. I hope you're starting to get excited about the potential of working by referral. All right, so let's get into what the system itself looks like. I'm going to teach you what we call a trusted advisor program, because obviously that's the name, because it's going to establish you in the minds of your 300 advocates as their trusted advisor in real estate. If they have any real estate related questions, if they've got a friend that's making a decision, you're the person they go to because they trust you. And they trust that you can advise them well. Okay, so we're going into, and we're going to use this analogy of an apple farmer. Okay, we're going into the apple business. And obviously in the case of an apple farmer, at the end of the day, everything they do, all the farming equipment, the land, the work, the watering, the irrigation, so everything they do has one purpose in mind, and that is to grow healthy apples. That's what we're after, because that's what we can sell down at the market. Now, in our case, everything we're going to do in our Trusted Advisor program is designed to get you two things. And we spoke about them as we started today. Remember, 42% of all sellers come by way of referral. Further 24% come as repeat business. And so we're going to go for repeats and referrals. All right, guys, I'm just going to ignore the hands because I'm rushing to get through this in the time we've got left. Our system is going to produce repeat and referral business for us. That's what the apples are. Okay. If you want this as a little workbook, I can actually send this to you. Maybe I'll put this in the email with the replay. I'll put the workbook in there for you so you can print it out for yourselves. Okay, so if I want apples on my apple farm, what is the one indispensable thing that I do have to grow on my farm if I want apples? Well, I've got to have apple trees. Okay, that must sound like a simple thing to say, but it's profound in the sense of, if you want repeat and referral business, where do you get repeat and referral business from? Who gives you repeat and referral business? Okay, now, there's going to be lots of different answers in there. You're going to say past clients. You're going to say network. Okay, all good. I'm just going to say people. People give you repeat business, and people give you referral business. Okay, human beings. Now, that's why with social media, so often everything we do on social, and I believe in social media, it just, for you guys, I don't think it should be the core of your lead generation strategy. With social media, it's almost like we're divorced from other human beings. It's just tech. It's what I'm teaching you is high touch. It's a high touch system, because it's people who trust you who give you repeat and referral business. People who trust you. Now, we're going to call that group of people your database. Your database. Okay, now, if I want healthy apple trees on my apple farm, those apple trees need to get two things. They need to get sunlight and they need to get rainfall. Okay, both are important. Sunlight and rainfall. Now, the same thing is true of working by referral. If you want a database to begin to trust you, if you want a database that is going to give you repeat and referral business, you have to nurture those relationships. Now, this is where the system comes into play, because there are many people that you know. You guys are all active agents. Most of you have got past clients. But can I ask you, if you are willing to own up and raise a humble hand here, how many of you have done business with someone in the past where you had a pretty good rapport with the person, it was a pretty good experience, it was a successful transaction, they were happy, but you have not kept in touch with that past client like you should have? I mean, lots of people are going to raise their hands for that. We've all done that, guys. This is what we're saying here, is you got to have a system of sunshine and rainfall that is nurturing those relationships. You've got to keep in touch with these people. Now, there are two ways that we are going to keep in touch with the people on our database. The first, so there's two types of communication you have to have within this system. The sunlight is, we're going to call written communication. And there are a few different types of written communication that you are going to be sending in a systematic way to your database. I mentioned one of them earlier, handwritten notes. We're going to get into all of that later. I'm going to teach you through each piece of the system. Okay, so written communication, different types, has to be going to the database. However, is it enough, if you want to build relationships with people, to simply send them stuff? Absolutely not. What do you have to combine? Written communication. They're getting stuff from you, but there's got to be some other type of contact that you have with these people. What is that? If you want to build relationships of trust with them, deepened, nurtured relationships. Okay, well done. Christopher Whaling says personal contact, and that's what the rainfall is. The rainfall falling softly on your fields is the personal contact. And there are different types of personal contact we're going to have within our system. So as Brian says, phone calls. Michelle Taylor says phone calls. That's one of the types of personal contact we're going to have. But there's other types. There's going to be a thing called a pop-by. A pop-by is a personal face-to-face visit that's very quick, where you pop by their house with a little gift. You don't go in, you don't sit down, you don't stay for a long time, you're just popping by, right? We're going to teach you all these little, and I'm going to teach you not just what they are, but I'm going to teach you the exact formula of when you do these things, of what the sequencing of contact looks like. Okay, because we know what it looks like. Then, once you've got your communication going in, the one last piece of the puzzle, and I've mentioned this earlier, is that little farmer, he's got to go up his ladder. I mean, you can have beautiful apples. They've got all the sunlight, all the rainfall. You've got a great apple. They're hanging in the tree. Your best friend, their neighbor, is thinking of selling their house. It's there, and they'll give it to you. They just don't remember. What have you got to do? You've got to climb up your little ladder, and you've got to use certain dialogues to go and get those referrals. You've got to go and harvest your apples. So there are a number of dialogues that I'm going to teach you that you're going to learn word for word. You are going to role play them and practice them until you can say them as if they are your own. You say, dialogues don't feel natural to me. I don't like using dialogues. Okay, do whatever you want. I'm telling you, if you practice dialogues long enough, they become natural to you. The reason we have to use dialogues is because they're not natural to you. That's the whole reason we have dialogues, scripts and dialogues. There are certain things that you can say at key moments in your business that we know work. So why not say them? I'm a big believer in scripts and dialogues. Okay, I'm not going to teach through the other elements of the system, the trailer, that's leverage, the fragile thing, that's service excellence. We're not going to do that for later discussions. What you're looking at on your screen right now is the core of a referral system. You've got to have the right database of people. You've got to be having a communication plan with those people. And then at key moments, you've got to be asking for referrals. That's what a referral system looks like. Okay. Asking for referrals. This is how you do it. You use what we call the oh, by the way method. I tell you what, I think I'm going to pick up with that at our next family time meeting. And then we're going to get into the database. Okay. Tell you what, let's leave it there for today. I think that was a good discussion. So, no massive homework for the next 2 weeks. I was going to get you to do something on your database, but for now, I think let your mind mull over this, come up with some questions, maybe think about your own lead generation and see where you're at, so that next week, not next week, in 2 weeks' time, okay? We meet every 2 weeks on a Monday morning. It's the same link as you clicked this morning. I'm going to pick up in 2 weeks' time with the dialogue of how to ask for referrals, and then we're going to get into the first piece of the puzzle, which is this one here, how to organize your database. That's the first thing you need to do when you want to start working by referral, and there's some steps which I will teach you to take in order to do that. Okay, so for the last couple of minutes, if anybody's got a comment or a question, you're welcome to stick up a hand. I see a whole bunch of you have got your hands up. Is that just a mistake? Or do you have comments and questions? You're welcome to, if you do. So Marisa de Jager, have you got something you wanted to say? Noman Gersi, have you got something that you wanted to say? Okay, Tyrone, Morton. Okay, Wendy, you go. All right, does anybody who has their hand up actually have something to say? That's my question. We've got 1 minute left, guys. You're very welcome to just give me your response. Tell me what you're thinking.
Been awesome, Steve. Thanks so much. Good to just reconnect with these ideas, and we're definitely going to mull over it over the next couple of weeks. So
Super,
thanks so much. Great.
Thanks, Brad. I appreciate that feedback. Thank you.
Hi, Steve. This is absolutely necessary training. It's good to be reminded of what really works. And I can tell you, I am not going to miss one of these sessions.
Great, Christine. Excellent. Thank you.
Steve, thank you so much. We just can't hear enough of it and get too many reminders about keeping our database and advocates all happy. Thank you so much. Very good.
Super, Sharon. Thank you. You know, what you'll notice, guys, is that the top producing agents are the ones who are the most learning based. You've got 3 of South Africa's capping agents there, Brad, Neil, Christine Oppel, and Sharon Moodley. All 3 are capping agents, and all 3 of them are in the training, and they're the ones sticking their hands up and saying, this training is awesome, I want to do this, I'm committed. There's a lesson in life there.
Steve, I just want to say I took my file out again, and it's just a reminder and it's just a recapping, and now you can streamline actually what I learned 6 years ago. So it's awesome. Thank you.
Right, thanks, Anne-Marie. What I will do is I will just fix up the little manual, and I'm going to email out the replay for everyone today, and I'll put a link in the email where you can download this little course manual, so you can be filling in the missing words as we go through it. I think that might be helpful for you guys. You'll have to print it yourself, obviously. Okay, guys, well, God bless you all. Have a wonderful couple of weeks. I will see you in 2 weeks' time as we pick up the referral system again, and I hope that it's a really good time for you and your families, and we'll see you then. Cheers for now.
Dankie, Steve. Great session.
Thank you, Steve.
Good week.
Thank you, Steve.
Thanks, Steve.
Yes, thanks, Steve.
Thanks, Stephen. Have a lovely day.
Thank you, Steve. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Steve.